and welcome to 20 Minutes. I'm Nadia Naqi with you on DawnNews English as the Israel-Gaza war now enters the 11th day since Hamas launched an offensive that Israel claims left 1,400 Israelis dead on October 6th. U.S. President Biden is meeting the Israeli Prime Minister. In fact, he's met, and the initial statement that he's made is that the last night's deadliest the hospital in Gaza doesn't seem to be by the Israeli airstrike, which of course Israel denies, says it has been due to some group, the Palestinian Jihadi group. The group, of course, has denied. The UN and other world bodies are calling for a ceasefire and humanitarian assistance to be allowed in the territory where people are under siege. There have been no water, no electricity, no medical supplies. We have invited, welcoming our guest, Osama Hamden, who's the senior official of Hamas in Lebanon and member of the Bureau. Thank you so much for joining us. So, Mr. Osama, would you like to give us the current situation in Gaza as we speak?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The current situation in Gaza, Israel is still bombing the Palestinians, destroying the houses, the schools, universities, and hospitals. And the last crime which took place was bombing the hospital, killing more than 500 Palestinians. All of them were civilians. Most of them, they were either having medical care in the hospital or combining the people who were injured during the war.
Right. And you do know that Israel has denied this airstrike. They say it's not done by them.
Well, Israel always denied. They always tell you lies, fake stories. But I have to say it clearly: Israel has been bombing Gaza for the last 12 days, killing more than 3,000 Palestinians. In fact, the actual number is rising hour after hour. It's now early morning. It was 3,200. Now it's 3,300. We are talking about casualties around 12,000 Palestinians. Most of those killed people or injured, they are women and children. In fact, 67% of them, they are women and children. That brings the Israelis to be the most liar and Nazist regime in the world. Talking back about the hospital, they claim that it was a rocket from Islamic Al-Jihad movement. Yes. Well, I have to say that it's not true for different reasons. Number one, Israel during the war, and that was said also by the United Nations, has bombed on purpose 57 medical centers. They've bombed 57 medical centers before bombing the hospital. And also they've attacked the ambulances. They've killed 20 people who were helping the injured people. They've destroyed 26 cars, ambulance cars on duty. So they attacked the fire extinguishing cars. So they are doing all this, and they reached the limit that they have to bomb one of the major medical targets in order to push the Palestinians. This is number one. Number two, they have warned the hospital. 2 days ago, you have to evacuate or we are going to bomb the hospital. And they have warned another 5 hospitals. And that was the first story which they have said after bombing the hospital directly. Then they discovered this story is a lie. So this story will damage their reputation. Right. So they went to say, well, this was used by some militants, the hospital, and they discovered it's a lie and will not be received in a positive way. So they came out with this issue. Okay. The third point, I have to say that the Palestinians are launching rockets against Israeli settlements. We want them to show the evidence that those rockets are causing the same damage which had happened in the hospital. Finally, I have to say, the Israelis said that they discovered that by their radar system. Okay, Their radar system launched it is on the net. You have to watch that 20 minutes before bombing the hospital, 25 minutes after bombing the hospital. There was no evidence that something was seen on the radar. So the total story is a fake story. They lies. I have to remind you and everyone, when they killed Shireen Abu Akleh, the Palestinian journalist,
Right.
they issued one and the second and the third and the fourth story, and when everyone told them by evidences that they were lying, they said, okay, we will form a committee for the investigation. Until now, they did nothing. So
Yes,
it's
and
natural.
the US is investigating. So, as you just say, that the death toll of the Palestinian is, right by the hour. In the morning, the Palestinian health of the ministry had said it's 3,200 since October 7th, which you just said that it's 3,300 now. There
Yes.
has to be a solution to this. There has to be a stop to this. There has to be a ceasefire. How is it possible when the US president in his initial meeting and words seems to express solidarity with Israel?
Well, this is the major problem, that the Americans keep talking about their solidarity with Israel, regardless of the crime committed by Israel. That encourages Israel to commit more crimes. That encourages Israel to go beyond the red lines. And that also prevents some countries of saying the truth, the fact that the problem is you have to make an end for the occupation. This is the major problem. We want an end for the occupation. No one can talk about the Palestinian cause without talking about the occupation. You can't ignore that fact. I have to say that President Biden came to the region. He was supposed to meet some Arab leaders that was cancelled after the massacre. And instead of returning back to Washington, he insists to come. I believe he is trying to support Israel, but he's unaware about the damages which he causes. First of all, no one will trust the United States. Second, he is considered by the Palestinians as a partner in the crime. Third, in fact, his State Department is telling everyone that they are Jew, they are part of Israel. That means they are supporting Israel with no conditions. They are against the Palestinians, and that has to be seen by the international world, the international community. The entire world have to understand that. This is why we all the time say that you can't count on the Americans. The Americans can't see the facts. They just close the eyes when there is a facts, and they just listen for Israel.
So who do you think? Are you relying on the Muslim countries to play their role, the Arab countries? How is a ceasefire possible? Because there's a huge human crisis now developing.
Well, I have to say that we rely on the Muslim and Arab countries, and also we rely on some friends like Russia, China, who tries 2 days ago to have a resolution in the Security Council, a human ceasefire. That was undermined by the United States. They prevent that from happening. It shows that there is a will among the Arab and Muslim countries, among some countries on the international level, to stop the war against the Palestinians. In fact, to stop the massacre against the Palestinians. I believe the step which was the cancellation of the meeting with Biden and President Sisi, Abu Mazen, and King Abdullah is very important. It shows how we can make serious steps, effective steps, without even being aware about what the American response will be, because the Americans themselves, they knew that they are making mistakes and they are committing the wrong way to deal with the Palestinian situation. So I think when we count on those countries, we count on ourselves, because they are our people, our nation, and they have to trust that the resistance will be continued. No one can stop the resistance. No one can defeat the resistance. And this resistance will achieve the Palestinian goal, because it's supported by the Palestinians. With all the sufferness, the Palestinians are still supporting the resistance.
You do realize that Israel has said that this current war has been started by Hamas, by that surprise offense launched against them, and they are all out now to basically, they say they're going to destroy the structure of Hamas in every possible way.
Well, Hamas did not start that. The side who started that is the occupation. We are talking about the occupation. The resistance is the reaction against occupation. When you talk about the occupation, you have to know what the occupation is doing. The occupation have signed a peace agreement with Mahmoud Abbas.
Right.
For the last 30 years, they did not implement that. They ignored this agreement. Now they are talking in public about the Palestinian people. They have either to accept the occupation as a fact or leave the Palestinian lands, or you will be killed. That was said in the parliament, in Israel parliament, by one of the ministers, Smotrich. They are also trying to take over and Judaize the holy city, Al-Quds. They are trying to take over Al-Aqsa Mosque. They are putting Gaza under the siege for the last 17 years. All those crimes are committed by the Israelis in order to make an end for the Palestinian cause. And when the Palestinian people try to reject that or to react against that as their right to have their own independence and sovereign state, and the Israelis claim that they are terrorists and Israel is fighting against the terrorists. In fact, the terrorists here, they are the Israelis. And I think if we want to have a solution, we have to concentrate on the first issue, which is the occupation, and the solution is very clear. Make an end for this occupation.
Okay, you just mentioned that, yes, they do term Hamas as terrorist, and the offensive launched by Hamas on October 7th, it's not only the US but the West supporting Israel. They have said this is like ISIS kind of an attack that has been launched by Hamas, and they believe that Hamas is a terrorist organization. Hence, now, as you say that you're relying on the Muslim countries and some of the partners like Russia and China, as of now, there has to be some sort of what you called in diplomacy, some deliverables, when there is a meeting. So do you think those deliverables before leaving, I'm talking about President Biden, to be in the form of a human assistance or a relief corridor that would be agreed by Israel for people who are now under siege in Gaza?
Well, I think President Biden is not the man who you can trust. He has a slow understanding for the issues. He has a health situation, and he is being used as an image to implement all what Israel needs or asks from the United States. And that was clear. He arrived today to fight Palestine. He had a meeting with Netanyahu, and through the press conference, he said, I was told by my Secretary of State to say something, but I forgot that. Okay, but we are worried about bombing the hospital, but I knew that the other side have done this. Well, imagine that the United States president is saying this. So what I want to say, Israel is trying to sell a story which is fake story. Everyone knows that. The Americans have to understand that it's their responsibility to say enough is enough for the Israelis, not to talk about the Palestinians as terrorists. Who has killed the Palestinians? Are killing our people. The massacres are taking place everywhere. From 1948, the massacre of Deir Yassin, up to the massacre of the hospital yesterday. During that, we are talking about hundreds of massacres. I am based in Beirut, a little bit far from me, less than 1,000 meters. You have a cemetery of the people who were killed in Sabra and Shatila massacre. You are talking about 3,000 Palestinians and Lebanese, of women and children and old men. They were slaughtered, not even killed by bullets. In 2 days, 3,000 human were killed in 2 days. No one can forget that. So now they are committing more crimes. When they say that the resistance is a terrorist action, they try to cover the facts.
Mr. Hamdan, I would also like to know that, do you believe that President Mahmoud Abbas pulling out of the meeting that he was supposed to have with the President of the United States was the right action? Or do you think this was sheer pressure from people who gathered last night in Ramallah, protesting outside the President's palace?
Well, it's a very important step in the right direction. Whether it was taken because he believes that he have to do that, or it was taken under the pressure of the people who were demonstrating, not only in Ramallah, in all the Palestinian cities in West Bank.
Right.
It's a right step in the right direction. I hope that we can work as Palestinians, Arabs and Muslims together to build on that step, showing the Americans they can't sell us the story of Israel. They have to know the facts, they have to understand the rights, and they have to work in order to implement them according to the international resolution and in the international law.
Lastly, I would also like to ask you about of the Israelis and foreigners that are in captivity with Hamas. There was also news that they would be released and they could be released.
The spokesman of Al-Qassam have said it clearly. If there is some people from other nationalities and they were not fighting with the Israeli army, we consider them as our guests and they will leave as soon as the fight stops. That was the clear position of the spokesman of Al-Qassam.
All right. Okay. Now towards the end, do you believe that Russia, China, Arab countries, and you do understand that the OIC is having an extraordinary meeting in Jeddah as we speak, they can come up with something that would push Israel and all its allies to work towards peace and an immediate ceasefire?
Well, I think Israel is not willing to have a ceasefire. This is why the thing is complicated. There is some countries who are seeking to have a ceasefire, who are seeking to help the Palestinians, to protect the Palestinians from Israel. But Israel all the time shows that they are the real enemies of the Palestinians. They don't want to stop killing the Palestinians. They don't want to stop their attack against the Palestinians. Anyway, we're willing to do that. But on the other hand, if Israel did not respect that or react positively towards that, we will make our own steps. That is clear. We have defined that. We have clarified that, and we will do that, inshallah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Osama Hamdan, for being with us. That was the senior official of Hamas in Lebanon and member of the Political Bureau on 20 Minutes. That's all for now.